All right, guys, what's up? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And in light of today's commentary, this gameplay in the background basically involves me carrying my team to victory, literally. Every player on my team is not even a Prestige 1, and a lot of them are far from it. And 4 of the 5 or 5 of the 6 players on the other team are in the Prestige level, so they have a lot more experience in the game, and I managed to carry us to victory in old school pub stomping fashion, if that's what you want to call it. So I hope you guys enjoy that. So that is kind of what I want to talk about in this video, because as we know, XDefiant is not going to have skill-based matchmaking. And when we had the betas for XDefiant, for the open and closed betas, you definitely saw gameplays from a lot of these big names, you know, like Scump, like TP, and a few others, just to name a few. There's a lot more out there. And it really kind of, to a certain extent, almost brought me back to 2012, 2013 time when I first started watching YouTube. And that was about 2.5 years before I decided to make the channel that you see before you here today. I was actually inspired by Sandy Ravage. And then after that, I became aware of Excalizors and some of these other names, the Market J, Ronaldinho, etc., etc. I became aware of these names, and I was really inspired by their gameplay. And I always enjoyed watching their videos because back then, gameplay commentaries were the thing, right? So you were always wondering how in the world these guys got good and stuff like that, and you tried to figure out how. And eventually, once I started becoming consistently good in pub matches, that's kind of what triggered me to start doing YouTube. And the commentaries and the editing, I kind of learned as I went along, and it was a fun experience. And come mid-April of 2015, that's when this channel was created, and that's when it all started for me. And it's kind of interesting because with XDefiant not having skill-based matchmaking and what we've seen from the content that people created from the beta, it kind of took me back to that particular time, to where I know that there's not going to be any time as special as back then. You can never really catch lightning in a bottle twice. You can't recreate that same kind of magic. However, you can bring back the culture, so to speak. Now, even back then, people still kind of did it illegitimately. They figured out how to get into easy lobbies and just kind of stomp the hell out of players that didn't know what the hell they were doing. And then there were other players that just, obviously, you could still find lobbies like that even when you're just playing the game legitimately, game after game after game. You can match into a quote-unquote magic lobby for sure. But at the same time, you know, for people that had a mixture of everything, and still managed to perform very well game after game after game, there's something to be said about that. There's something really special about that, and it started during a time to where Call of Duty was in its prime, and people were looking forward to the game, people were inspired by the game. The gameplay commentary channels from Call of Duty were booming for the ones that were out there, and it was a really fun time to be able to watch videos from so many different people. Which again inspired me to make this channel, and what caused me to become a commentary channel in the first place. Obviously, as I've gone along, I've kind of learned that, you know, the gameplay really doesn't matter so much anymore. I mean, even in a game that doesn't have skill-based matchmaking, at the end of the day, obviously, the commentaries are the big thing, and that's the thing though. For commentary channels that were made from pub stompers, like let's say the Market J, or like let's say Ronaldinho, who are the two gentlemen I'm going to talk about specifically in this video, I have to say that there's something a little bit special. There's something extra about that. It's like a video, watching a video from those guys whenever they do a commentary, for instance, it kind of makes it twice as entertaining, so to speak, because you're kind of getting into their mind, and at the same time, you're watching the gameplay, but at the same time, you're trying to know like how these people think and all that kind of stuff. You want to know what their opinions are, whether or not the game is good, what they like, what they don't like, their methodology, all that kind of stuff, which really makes it that interesting. Now, granted, we've all learned quite a lot since 2012, 2013. There's no doubt about it. But that doesn't mean that we still can't enjoy that in today's age, right? I mean, seriously. So I know it's a lot different now. I mean, I think one of the reasons that streaming, for instance, has become so big and popular is because we're getting live and larger doses of these people that are able to get legitimately good gameplays game after game after game. Now, granted, in this day and age, there's been a lot of people that have been doing reverse boosting. A lot of people have been doing cheating and all that kind of stuff, but I'm putting those guys to the side. I'm talking about people that never did that. I'm talking about people who were legit from the start. And just to first one I want to talk about is Market J. I mean, I've always respected his not only his gameplays, but his lighthearted nature. He never really got into drama or anything like that. He certainly had a sense of humor, and a lot of people miss him. A lot of people miss him, and rightfully so. And I don't know what happened with his channel, whether or not he sold it. Some people say he sold it. Some other people say, something else, different things or whatnot. But regardless, I think a lot of people miss him. There's people that have actually downloaded his past uploads before they got deleted, or before he deleted them or whatever, before he sold his channel, whatever the hell happened. People have just on their own account, they've posted videos up on YouTube that are his gameplays, and they say right there, Marker J re-upload, blah, blah, blah. It tells you like the date or the game or whatnot, Black Ops 3, Black Ops 2, whatever. And it's like, for people that missed the Marker J, they could always go back and watch. And I've gone back and watched some of those videos, because every once in a while I'm in the mood to watch them. And on top of that, I also read the comments to those, and every so often you'll see comments like, man, I really miss him. I really miss his commentaries and stuff like that. And I know I'm not the only one. So, and another name to talk about is Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho is another insane player. I first, I think, heard about him through, I don't know if it was because it was mentioned from, well, I don't know. Maybe it could have been from Woody's Gamer Tag when he used to do his Dissecting the Greats series, to where he used to break down the gameplays of the best pub players in Call of Duty, and kind of reviewed their gameplay and kind of figured out what made them tick or whatnot. Ronaldinho was one of these people. And yeah, Ron is another one of those really, really big names, and he's kind of disappeared. He just completely disappeared, and I miss him. I miss watching his gameplays. His gameplays are insane. If you go on Blame Truth's channel, and you can actually look up some of his stuff. I mean, obviously Ron has his own channel, and you can see some of his old stuff on there. Doesn't really upload very often, but I've always admired his super aggressive style while being really accurate, and at the same time having, good reflexes, good accuracy, and stuff like that. Very, very respectable. And again, there's always these, the smaller percentage of players that play pubs that just stand out above the rest. And I've always kind of admired that to this day. Despite the fact that I've been doing this YouTube thing for as long as I have, and put in my fair share of time in Call of Duty as I have, I've always admired and respected people of that kind of caliber, like the Market J or the Ronaldinho, to name a couple. It is a short list compared to the entirety of the quote-unquote, good player community, or pub stomping community, or legit pub stomping community, or whatever the hell you want to be called. Back in the day, pub stomping was an art, so maybe XDefiant can bring that back. And speaking of bringing back, as we get close to the end of this video, what would be really nice is for XDefiant to make the prestige race official, because that's something that Call of Duty never really did. Players just took it upon themselves at the midnight of the release of the game to just race to see who would hit Master Prestige first. And the start time and all that kind of stuff would always get like kind of confusing, and some people would say, oh, you cheated because you started a little bit sooner, or whatever the deal was. But that used to be really cool. I mean, I think we need to make that like official. And if the devs for XDefiant were to do something like that, if Mark Rubin were to announce the prestige race or whatnot, I think a lot of people would really get into that. And I think it would be a good promotion for the game as well, especially when the progression system officially releases, because it may or may not be at launch, but I think this is a big thing. I think this is very important. And so are these people as well that, participate in this. It's another way for the community to have fun. An event for the community, by the community, for the community. But anyway, that sums up pretty much all I have to say in this particular video. So down below, I want you to tell me, who do you miss from the old, pub stomping days or whatnot? Whose gameplay commentaries do you miss, and all that kind of stuff? And which game did you enjoy watching more? There's always games that people enjoy watching one over the other. And what would you guys like to see coming up? But anyway, thank you all very much for taking the time to watch and or listen. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.